Welcome to Blair Castle. We are on day 7. Blair Castle stands in the grounds near the village of Blair Athol in Perthshire. It is the ancestral home of the Clan Murray and was historically the seat of their chief, the Duke of Athol, though the current chief, the 12th Duke of Athol, lives in South Africa where he was born and raised. The castle stands in Glengarry and commands a strategic position on the main route of the A9 round through the central Scottish Highlands. It is said to have been started in 1269 by John, but I'm going to go with John, Lord of Badenoch, a north neighbor of David Strathbogie of Earl of Athol, who started building on the Earl's land while he was away on crusade. Upon his return, the Earl complained about the interloper to King Alexander III and won back his land and incorporated the tower that has been built in his own castle. David Strathbogie, Earl of Athol, forfeited the titles and the estates after rebelling against King Robert the Bruce in 1308, and the king granted them Niall mac Callian. The earldom was granted to a number of individuals who over the years until 1457 when James II granted it to his half-brother James Stuart. During the Wars of the Three Kingdoms of the 17th century, the Murrays supported the royalist cause, which led to Blair Castle being taken over by Oliver Cromwell's army following his invasion of 1650. The restored Charles II created the title Marquess of Athol for John Murray II, Earl of Athol. In 1689, Athol decided to remain loyal to the government, even though 2 of his sons joined the Jacobites. Naughty. Athol's factor, Patrick Stewart of Belchin, held Blair Castle for King James, and Dundee visited in May. In July, Belchin refused entry to the Athol's son and heir Lorne John Murray, and he laid siege to the castle. Viscount Dundee relieved the castle, and the crucial battle of Killiecrankie was fought because Dundee did not want to retreat and surrender the castle to Mackay. Alas, the next day, the Jacobites entered the castle during the battle, and Dundee was killed. After the battle, Blair Castle remained in Jacobite hands for some time, and Jacobite Highland chiefs swore a bond there together in August to continue the rising. The castle was occupied twice by Prince Charles Edward Stuart and his Jacobite army in September of 1745 and February of 1746. However, the Jacobites unwisely abandoned it, and the government forces, including Lowland Clan Anjou, then occupied it. They held Blair Castle against the Jacobites, who laid siege to the castle during the last stages of the rising, and in March 1746 they were besieged to near starvation until the Jacobite forces withdrew to fight the British government and focus on the Battle of Culloden. In 1844, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert visited and stayed at Blair Castle. It was after this that she gave permission to the estates she gave permission to establish the Athol Highlanders. This is a Scottish private infantry regiment, and it's more so a ceremonial unit that acts as personal bodyguard to the Duke of Athol. They are not part of the British Armed Forces, but are under command of the Duke of Athol, and their base is at Blair Castle. It is the only legal private army in Europe. Part of the castle was converted to a hospital during the First World War. Poet Hamish Henderson's mother had worked there as a nurse and on her return from France. Before his death in February 1996, the 10th Duke of Athol placed Blair and most of the estates in a charitable trust, shielding them from inheritance taxes and leaving them under Scottish control, as heir John Murray, the 11th Duke, had indicated he had no desire to leave his native South Africa. His nephew, Robert Trochen, was made the heir to the remaining castle. On March 10, 2011, a fire broke out in the clock tower of the castle, causing the tower's roof and the second floor to collapse into the first floor. The clock tower was restored in 2012 with restoration work on the clock mechanisms performed by Smith of Derby Group. The oldest part of the castle is a 6-story Cummings Tower, which retains some of the 13th century history, though it is largely built in the 15th century. The extensions, which now form the central part of the castle, were first added in the 16th century. The apartments of the south were added in the mid-18th century to designs by architect John Douglas and James Winter. And the southeast range, including the clock tower, was rebuilt by Archibald Elliot after a different fire in 1814. Finally, the castle arrived in its present form in the 1870s when David Bryce remodeled the whole building for the 7th Duke of Atholl in the Scots baronial style and added a ballroom. It was further remodeled in 1885 when a new ballroom wing was added by James Campbell Walker. After it was used as a hospital, the family found it more convenient in 1922 to live in the private apartments. The castle has been open to the public since 1936. There are many rooms featuring important collections of the Murray family over the generations, and the castle and the Athol estates were used in 2008 reality TV series Conquer the Castle. And that's that for Blair. On to Traquair. Oh, she stopped.
That's like a little balcony, maybe either the Duke and Duchess sat up there or a little orchestra sat up there. This is where they have the Scottish Reel at Hogmanay.
We could do one if you'd like.
Yeah.
get near a chirp, a splashy chirp. And we need to put is this the front or the back? Oops.
What do you mean, front to the back?
The window. Look at that. Clean the car off a bit. Yeah, exactly.
Sue's at the back window, you know, Ash.
I mean, I know it didn't last very long, but it's frustrated everybody. Well, it's not, you know, it's not holiday driving, is it? At all. And we're not, you know, I'm trying to get anywhere before, what was it, 5:30? Yeah. Late. See if it looks as if we're going to be there, like, just skip the all the other number.
I've decided I'm going to tell you about Traquair House tomorrow because we don't actually go around the house until tomorrow. And today we're just staying in some private apartments. And yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you. But here's the hedge maze. And then there's some beautiful drone footage for you to watch. So you can watch all of that and enjoy that. And then I'll tell you about the house in the morning after we have been for breakfast. All right, be good. Have fun. See you soon.
Well, isn't this lovely? We are at Traquair and we are staying in their guest houses. So let's go take a look at the
the guest house portion. Go in through private door. Straight ahead of us here, we have the blue room. And this is the blue room. This is mine. I have a very cute little chair. Cute bathroom. Cute bathroom. And round this way, tea and coffee and things, little telly. And if we open the wardrobe, there is tea and hot chocolate. Oh, I'm going to have a hot chocolate. Ooh, delightful, delicious. Okay. And we go down this hallway. We are in the white bedroom. Where Mama is for the evening, and she also has tea and coffee facility and water in her closet, as you do. Ooh, we could watch the DVD on Traquair. There's an idea. And also, as part of this charming little apartment, we have, excuse me, I'm just getting there. We have the sitting room. Oh, I'll get there. And this is the sitting room. This is the sitting room. Isn't that pretty? So there's the sitting room. We can sit in here after dinner. Or we could bring our fish and chips in here for dinner. Kidding, kidding, kidding. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Right. That is where we are stopping this evening. So that's fun. Alright, I'm going to go get the bags. Look at those bell pulls. Stunning. Stunning.